Chuck and Bob joining you on social media as we get you ready for the high school basketball weekend. And it actually gets started on the girls' side Thursday night. Great matchup in the Maple City. You've got Goshen, by winning percentage, having their best girls basketball season ever, going over to Bethany Christian. And here's a fun fact for you. Kristen Parsons' team is having its best season since 1989 when our buddy Dan Boddicker was the head coach of the girls' team there. So this should be a fun one.
It should be. They both are playing exceptional basketball. You know, Goshen at 15-3, and last year they were 18-6, so they're on a similar course. And this could be a team that would compete in the Class 4A state championship battle because they are hardened as far as the prospects of who they have, and they've got a very talented young lady.
Well, Bryn Shoup Hill is a commit to the University of Dayton, and she's a really good player, fun to watch, plays at both ends of the floor. Not only can she score, she's a terrific shot blocker. Tyra Marcus and Megan Gallagher are going to have to step up, though, taking on this Bethany Christian team that's really led by two freshmen. Zoe Williams and Mariah Stoltzfus are terrific players, and they get some help from the experienced girls on the team as well.
Well, there's a big difference between class sizes here, but you know that's one of the things you got to deal with at this time of year. But one of the things about Bethany Christian at 14-5, last year they were 5-17. So this is a team that's really come together. Yeah. And as you said, just an outstanding effort by Coach Parson. And this is a team that has a lot of talent on it as well, and people have played together for a number of years.
Well, you take a look. You mentioned Goshen being a state contender. Man, they're sectional, and the sectional pairings for the girls come out on Sunday. Their sectional is loaded. When you've got Penn, Northridge, Warsaw, and Goshen all in that same sectional, wouldn't be surprised if we found ourselves over at the Goshen Gymnasium. We'll have to see once the pairings come out. Okay, let's go to the boys' side. A couple of big games on Saturday this weekend, and perhaps the best one is over at Hadaway Shack, where you've got a Chesterton team that is currently 11-1 coming in to take on the undefeated Eagles. We saw Mark Urban's team in the regional a couple of years ago. We were very impressed. They had Jake Wadding then. He's now at Grace College. So who's filling that void?
Well, they've got a couple of guys. Travis Grayson has been playing pretty well for them. Also, Tyler Vanderwoody. And tell you what, this is a team that battled against Adams last year and won 58-56. But so many people are back for Adams that it makes it a real tough test.
Well, as we look at the Adams highlights, you can throw in just about anybody from the starting five, and they'll be there from a year ago. You did a little bit of research on the Eagles.
I did, as a matter of fact. And, you know, last year, at the end of the year, they graduated 96 total points.
Not 96 points a game, 96 total points.
Okay. And they only returned out of their starters 1,465 this year. And Chad Johnson has nursed this group along. He's they fit together. Everybody knows their roles, and he can push a button and change who he's going to at a certain point of the ball game. And I'm just, you know, Lynn King, he might be in the corner. You never know, shooting a three. And Braden Saxton has been outstanding. Quintez Columbus, I like what Sidney Jeffries did this past week. And Chuck Worsham is also a quality athlete. And they've got some depth now on the bench. They've got some guys who can come in and play a pretty good role.
No, you have to guard all five guys on the floor, and that's what makes Adams so dangerous and one of the reasons they're still undefeated on the year. So that's Saturday night. So, too, on Saturday night is Mishawaka and Northridge. Boy, Ron Heklinski doing another stellar job over at Mishawaka. The Cavemen are not a team that will pass the eye test. You're not going to look at them and say, wow, they've got size, or they've got speed, or they've got this or that. But they're 7-1 after beating Clay on Tuesday night, and they've got a fine player in Trent Johnson.
Trent Johnson really impressed us. We had a chance to see him a couple of weeks ago, and he's doing a great job. They've got a lot of good, young, quick players that they're trying to work into the lineup. And they have a guy that's on my all-Nagle team, and that is a young man inside Tommy Herringer, who's a 6'5" freshman. And he has got some good feet, he's got some good moves, and he plays like a veteran.
But they have to go over to Raider Ridge and take on the boys of Scott Radiker, the Northridge Raiders, who we got to see last Friday night. Blake Jacobs had the game of his night, but that guy, Sam Smith, unloaded for 31 on Tuesday night against Penn, and his buddy Carter Stoltzfus had 28, including 17 in the first quarter. Oh, by the way, They shot 12 threes against Penn, but if you guard them on the outside, then they go and do that.
And they can do that with Blake Jacobs inside. He had a magnificent game last week against Northwood. And again, you got to make some adjustments for those guys on the perimeter. If you're going to go out and try to guard them, you're going to make room inside. Northwood collapsed the defense a little bit, got in on Jacobs, and all of a sudden Sam Smith and the Stoltzfus brothers really got red hot.
So 8-3 Northridge against 7-1 Mishawaka on Saturday night. Now Friday night in the NIC should be a good one in the Princess City as well, as rivals Marion and Penn go head-to-head. You know, Rob Berger's squad has done it with defense again this year. They're 8-2, very stingy on the defensive end. They have to be because they have not had tons of offensive production.
No, they're missing, over the years, the last 10 years, they've had somebody in that lineup every year who can give you 25 or 30.
Well, yeah, when you have a couple of NBA players like Devin Kennedy or Demetrius Jackson, it is expected that the offensive production might go down, but the Kaleo Kakalea's got to step up a little bit, and so too do guys like Nagle and Sullivan.
Well, Declan's playing really well. He was the top returning scorer for Marion this year. He's a good leader and a pretty good defensive player as well. And, when you look at what Michael Brooks has been able to give them, that's been a plus this year as well. How would you like to be Rob Berger? And your coaching career is 23 years old. I mean, you've been a head coach for 23 years.
You're a veteran.
You're not even close to Al Rose at 40 years for the master. And what a treat it is to watch Hal's teams over the years. And you're going to have a team that'll be ready for Marion.
Well, they will be. They have played a very rugged schedule. Don't be deceived by that 4-6 record. They've got a young backcourt, Marcus Burton and Joe Smith. They got to find a way to be in sync back there. Casey Schultz gives them some muscle on the inside. And playing at home, don't be surprised if Penn gives Marion all they want and then some in this one. And we're fortunate that this is Bi-County week. The TCU Bi-County tournament unfolds with semifinal action on Friday night. Let's start with the semifinal that we're not doing, and that is John Glenn at Triton. They played a honey of a game just a couple of weeks ago. Glenn won by 1. Now they've got to go back to the Trojan Trench and hope that guys like Carter Young can find their shooting eye.
Well, they've got a wonderful leader on this team, too, and Bryson Hanna. 6'3", just a sophomore, and the son of the head coach, Travis Hanna. I'm happy for him. He's been a real steady coach throughout his career, but he's got a team right now, as you said, Chuck, they're 10-1. And they've got some people besides Bryson. They've got Silas Kaiser and they've got Carter Young. And this is a 3A game against a 1A game. And you got to think that John Glenn, when they only got the 1-point win last time, probably looked surprised.
Well, that's the beauty of the Bi-County tournament is these 1A schools like Triton get a chance to play the big boys like Glenn. And Triton is not to be trifled with. They're 8-2. Jason Groves, a state championship coach, has another solid team. Ashton Oviedo gives them a leading scorer, kind of a go-to guy that they can count on. But they got to get some help like they did the other night when they beat LaVille. John Gardner, Cole McKinney stepped up, had double-figure games. That would be good if you're going to knock off somebody the caliber of John Glenn.
Yeah, they just don't have a whole lot of size, so they're going to have to, it's pure basketball. And you've got to pass, you've got to screen, you got to do everything you got to do to get that open shot. One of the differences this year with the Bi-County, of course, is that they're playing in different sites.
Right.
And that is because of the COVID issues and all that. But it's made still for a terrific tournament. And congratulations to TCU and all the great sponsors. They've made this a wonderful, wonderful annual event.
So while we'd like to do both games, we will do one game, and that will be down at the Lions Den as New Prairie takes on Bremen. We saw New Prairie against Glenn last year during the regular season. You mentioned with Adams, they've had a lot of people back. Well, New Prairie does too, including this guy, Braden Flagg, who's having a superb season. He averages nearly 20 points a game. I got to see them in person Monday night down at Argus, and while Flagg was held in check for the better part of 2.5 quarters by Argus, that's when everybody else stepped up. Grady Lepchinski hit 3 threes in the first quarter, 14 points. Hunter Smith, and I know you're a big fan of Ryland McBride.
Ryland McBride is a good ball player, and one of the things about when you look at Braden Flagg, we've watched him mature, we've watched him grow. I think he's going to give somebody a good effort at the college level, maybe one of the Christian colleges. At 6'4", he can play a lot of basketball there, and he's got a nice outside shot.
Mike Bauer looking for his 100th win, but he'll have to do it on the road and against a Bremen team that doesn't come in unarmed. I mean, Carson Miller and Tony Harden make a pretty good dynamic duo. But they lost a key cog in their lineup in Trevor Devine, and they got to find somebody to step up and be that third guy. I don't know if it's going to be Ty Feldman. He had 11 the other night against Culver. I don't know if it's going to be Dawson Hickman, but Matt Miller having a heck of a season first year as the Bremen head coach.
How about some of the wins that they've had? They knocked off Penn at home. They knocked off LaVille. And they beat Washington, Argus, and also South Central. So they've had a nice run. But again, as you said, when you're missing a cog, you either got to lower the gear or you got to find somebody else to step in. And that's the challenge going on between now and tournament time.
Well, we will have it for you. Different hour of broadcast for those of you who like the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the Champions Network. 6:30 tip-off. So we're on the air at 6:20. I hate to interrupt your dinner, but that's what we're going to do. And then we'll have it for you Friday night, 11 Saturday morning on TV 46. Until then, for Bob Nagle, Chuck Freeby, thanks for joining us here on social media.